Most arsonists never get caught. Perhaps it's because of the nature of the crime, the fact that one way or another, evidence will always be destroyed. There are detectives who work on nothing but arson cases, and even they can become baffled by simple details, like the source of the fire, the time the fire began, and often the most perplexing factor that even the best of the best tend to struggle with is the motive. This is often the case simply due to the fact that most cases of arson aren't propelled by the criminal's sheer love of fire. A lot of them are the result of someone's ambitions not letting their plans be held back by a mere house or a barn. And even more of them are simply, passionately, for insurance reasons. Some fires, labeled as arson, are simply started to remove evidence of other crimes. And in many of these occurrences, the arsonist's plans work. These fires have been known to cover up drug deals gone bad, gunshot holes in the walls, cuckolded husbands' last violent tirades against their former wives, and many a distressed mother's final moment of clarity after sending their beloved, only children to what they had hoped was heaven. But none of these were burnt out of passion. None of them ever gave respect to the fire, to its all-encompassing, indiscriminate power. None of these crimes, while inciting fire, fueling fire, give any respect to the flame itself. It could even be said by some that the abuse of fire, the manipulation of the fire solely for one's own petty and selfish means, which is therefore an abuse, is the true crime. There are a couple of things that people always need to remember about a fire. First, it's alright to get burned. That's what the fire is for. That's what it's supposed to do. Second, the flames will never reach as high as you had hoped they would in your mind. This is inevitable. There is nothing you can do about it except to gain perspective and attempt to move on. And third, an arsonist must appreciate that a fire's wrath does not destroy layers of concrete and matter, layers of wood and porcelain and fabric, layers of stone and brick and metal. It does not destroy them. It reveals them. Their destruction was inevitable. Their truth revealed. A blessing. An arsonist always needs to remember to lock all the doors on the inside before leaving the burning ground, and to exit in an unexpected manner. Never simply out of a broken window or basement bulkhead. An arsonist must be more creative than that. A real arsonist who recognizes the pure power of the flame, its truth, the only absolute truth that a pure lover of the fire can understand, how overwhelmed they can feel by the power of the flame that consumes all, who see the world by will of the fire's light, that everything can burn, and, eventually, everything will. Looking back at the past, it wasn't really that long ago that the ancient Egyptians worshipped Ra, the god of the sun, as the king of the gods and the ruler of all that existed. Even primitive people, with no understanding of complex molecules and chemicals that so often become so near and dear to a true arsonist's heart, understood the value of the sun. Without it, there was no warmth, no life, no perception, no truth. Thousands of years before understanding anything about the sun's flames, humans could do nothing but stand in awe at the ultimate form for the content of flames. Flames give illumination. Illumination guides us to truth. It is only by paying tribute to the fire, the very nature of the fire, that we have any hope at even a glimpse of real, irrefutable, absolute truth. When thinking of the future, millions of years from now, our own sun will supernova, and in a flash, less than 1,000th of a second, all semblances of our solar system will be obliterated in its flames. Realizing that truth, such an inevitable truth, can give so much perspective to an otherwise meaningless life. One way or another, truth cannot be revealed without light. No revelation can occur in the absence of light, and no illumination can occur, whether from near or far, without a flame. So, with that perspective in mind, let's focus on the here and now. It's always important to remember to wear gloves. Prints can turn up in the strangest of places. Remember to never burn until you've watched. Watched and watched and watched and watched. Watched when the last car comes into the driveway. Watched when the television goes dark. And the last computer, too. Watch for neighbors who might notice you, as you should always watch for quite some time, and therefore, inevitably, leave a pattern. Always watch how the people move, if they have a limp, if they're very old, if they're in a wheelchair. Watch them sleep, how they stir, how they react to a silent night, to a rainstorm. And last, but certainly not least, be sure to simply watch. It's best to buy or rent a room, using cash only, of course. That's close enough to your work so you can appreciate it, revel in its entirety. Give thanks to the fire and the clarity that it has given you. Remember to have pulled out all the teeth, as dental records are the last surefire form of identification. And remember to set aside time to appreciate the little things, to smell the smoke, to feel the heat, to see everything that you have worked so hard for. And remember that there is a difference between form and content, and that there is nothing you can do about that in this life. Remember that even though the content of the fire, the flame itself, will always be pure, real, and perfect, and the form of the fire, no matter how well planned, no matter how many details were factored in, will always fail to live up to your expectations, will always fail the awesomeness of the content. It's nothing to worry about. You could drive yourself mad worrying about it, because you can always brush the ashes off your jacket, find a new place to live, and try again. And you will. Most arsonists never get caught.